You know, we live in a world that doesn't wait to tell us who we should be. From the moment we open our eyes to the world, there are labels waiting for us. They say, you're not enough, you're too much, you should speak softer, you should dream smaller, don't be so ambitious. And somewhere along the way, we start believing those voices more than we believe our own. But let me tell you something, self. Doubt is not your voice, it's borrowed, it's inherited, it's trained, but it's not you. I want you to remember this. The fact that you've made it this far in your life is not an accident. Every scar, every sleepless night, every failure that made your heart ache, it didn't break you, it built you. And if you're sitting here questioning your worth, then I'm here to interrupt that pattern today. I'm here to speak to the fire inside you, the one that's been waiting far too long to be ignited again. You are not a mistake, you are not a burden, you are a storm wrapped in skin. You are a voice that cannot be silenced. You were never meant to shrink to make others comfortable. You were never meant to play small in a world that needs your bigness. I've had doors slammed in my face. I've been told I wasn't right for roles because of the color of my skin, my accent, my background. But you know what I did? I stopped asking permission to be great. I stopped waiting for validation from a world that was too small to understand me. I decided that if they didn't give me a seat at the table, I'd build my own damn table, and that is what you need to do. So the next time you look in the mirror, don't look for perfection, look for power. Look at the journey in your eyes, the resilience in your bones, the brilliance in your mind. You've got talents no one else has. You've survived things others don't even know about. You've dared to dream when everything around you said you shouldn't. Doubt is just a detour, not your destination. The truth is, the world doesn't get to define you. You do. And when you finally decide to trust yourself, to bet on yourself, to fight for yourself, something magical happens. You become unstoppable. So I want you to walk out of here today and stop apologizing for who you are. Stop questioning your gifts. Stop seeking approval from people who wouldn't understand your purpose even if you handed it to them wrapped in gold. You were born to rise. You were born to lead. You were born to be heard. After today, you'll never doubt yourself again. Not because of what I said, but because deep down you finally remember who you are. So often we confuse the voice of fear with the voice of truth. That whisper inside that tells you you're not good enough, not talented enough, not worthy. It isn't you speaking. It's a collection of past wounds, of critical words spoken by others, of societal pressure that shaped itself into inner noise. And the more we listen to that voice, the more real it begins to feel. But here's the truth. That voice of doubt was never yours to begin with. It was trained into you. It came from rejection, from being compared, from not fitting in, from failure. But your real voice, the one that comes from your soul that speaks in confidence, in clarity, in purpose. Every single time you hesitate to raise your hand, to take the stage, to go after that dream, it's not because you lack ability. It's because that inner critic, built over years of conditioning, has convinced you to sit back. The world has a way of telling people, especially women, to be quiet, to be small, to be grateful for what they have. And slowly, you start to question whether you're dreaming too big or being too loud. But that doubt, that hesitation, it's not your natural state. It's the result of years of absorbing other people's insecurities and projecting them onto yourself. You were born bold, you were born fearless. Look at any child. They don't doubt if they can dance, sing, or ask for what they want. That confidence is pure and undisturbed. The only thing that changed is the number of times you were told you shouldn't, couldn't, or wouldn't. But the amazing thing is, you can unlearn that. You can challenge that voice of doubt every single day. You can stop giving it power, stop letting it dictate your future, because it doesn't know your heart. It doesn't understand your passion, and it certainly doesn't get to decide your destiny. The moment you realize that doubt is just an echo, not your essence, you begin to take back your voice, and with every small step of courage, every decision to trust yourself, that fake voice grows quieter. And your real voice, it gets stronger, more powerful, more certain. So the next time you hear that whisper that says you're not enough, remember this. It's not you, and the real you. She's fierce, she's brilliant, and she's more than ready. There's a certain strength that only comes from going through the fire. The kind of strength that can't be taught in a classroom or found in a book. It's the strength you earn when life doesn't go the way you planned, when doors close, when people walk away, and when failure stares you in the face. In those moments when everything seems to fall apart, you're not being broken, you're being built. Every setback you've endured has added a layer to your strength. Every disappointment has carved out a deeper understanding of who you are. And the fact that you've come through it all is proof that you're more powerful than you realize. We often measure ourselves by our achievements, but it's in the failures that we find our foundation. You don't grow when things are easy. You grow when you're forced to dig deep, to stand alone, to keep moving when everything in you says stop. And yet, somehow, you're still here. You've survived what others might not even know about. Maybe you cried yourself to sleep. Maybe you doubted whether you could keep going, but you did. That's not weakness. That's resilience, and that's something no one can take from you. It's easy to forget your own strength when the world highlights only your flaws. But just pause and reflect on everything you've come through. Think about the times you picked yourself up with no one clapping, no one watching. That silent perseverance, that's where true confidence is born. Not from the applause, but from the quiet victories that only you know about. You are not defined by the mistakes you've made or the times you fell. You are defined by your ability to get back up, to keep showing up, to keep believing that something better is possible. Those difficult seasons didn't destroy you, they prepared you. They shaped your character, taught you patience, sharpened your focus, and gave you a story that others can be inspired by. There's no shame in the struggle. There's pride in it, because not everyone makes it through what you've walked through. And yet you did. So the next time you question your worth, remember everything you've survived. Remember the nights you held yourself together when it would have been easier to fall apart. That strength is yours. It always has been. You just needed to remember that nothing you've faced has made you weaker. It's made you unshakable. There comes a time in your life when you have to stop waiting for someone to give you permission to shine. Too often, we sit quietly, hoping someone will notice our worth, open a door, offer an opportunity, or validate our potential. But here's the reality. If you keep waiting for the world to tell you you're enough, you might wait forever. Some people will never recognize your greatness because they're too focused on their own insecurities. Others will see your light and try to dim it because they're intimidated by it. And some will never understand your vision because it wasn't given to them. It was given to you. The moment you stop asking for permission, your life begins to change. You stop shrinking to fit into spaces that were never designed for you. You stop editing your voice to sound more acceptable, more agreeable, more safe. You stop seeking approval from people who don't even understand your calling. And instead, you start walking in your truth. You start building your own platform, carving your own lane, and creating your own opportunities. You don't need someone else's stamp of approval to chase your dreams. You were born with everything you need. The passion in your heart, the ideas in your mind, the gifts in your soul. Those are all the tools you need to begin. Yes, the road will be hard. Yes, you'll be misunderstood. But greatness has never belonged to the people who waited to be invited. It belongs to the ones who dared to show up uninvited and still claimed their space. Think about every trailblazer, every icon, every history maker. They didn't wait for the world to say, "Now it's your turn." They decided for themselves that they were ready, and that's what you must do. You have to stop looking outward and start looking inward. The world doesn't determine your value. You do. So when you hear that inner voice telling you to step forward, don't silence it. Don't second guess it. Honor it. There will always be people who doubt you, who try to limit you, who say you're not ready, but their doubt is not your burden. Their opinion is not your truth, and their hesitation should never become your barrier. Stop waiting. Stop seeking validation. You were never meant to fit in. You were born to stand out, and the moment you own that fully and without apology, you'll find a power inside you that no one can touch. There's something incredibly powerful about embracing what makes you different. In a world that constantly pushes for sameness, where trends dictate behavior and conformity is rewarded, choosing to stand in your uniqueness is an act of courage. The things that set you apart, your background, your voice, your accent, your life experiences, those are not flaws. They are your strengths. Too often, we spend years trying to fit in, to blend with the crowd, to mute the parts of ourselves that others don't understand. But the truth is, your authenticity is your most valuable asset. You were never meant to be a copy. You were designed to be an original. The world already has enough replicas. What it's missing is your voice, your ideas, your story. You have something no one else has, your perspective. The way you think, feel, and interpret the world is uniquely yours. That's not something to hide. That's something to celebrate, because your difference is your distinction. And your distinction is what creates impact. There will always be people who don't get you. Some may even mock you or try to change you, but remember this, people often fear what they can't categorize. When you don't fit neatly into their boxes, it makes them uncomfortable, and instead of expanding their minds, they'll try to shrink you. Don't let them. You're not here to make everyone comfortable. You're here to be fully, unapologetically yourself. When you embrace your uniqueness, you give others permission to do the same. You become a mirror for those who have been hiding parts of themselves, too afraid to be seen. And your courage can be the spark that helps someone else break free from their own fear. That's how powerful authenticity is. It doesn't just change your life, it changes the lives around you. The world doesn't need more polished perfection. It needs more real. It needs more voices that come from different places, more perspectives shaped by different journeys. You don't need to erase your history or alter your identity to be worthy. What makes you different is what makes you memorable. What makes you different is what gives you a voice in a noisy world. So stand tall in your difference. Don't water it down. Don't tuck it away. Own it, protect it, and let it shine. Because the moment you embrace every part of who you are, without shame or hesitation, is the moment the world finally sees what you were always meant to become. There is incredible freedom that comes the moment you stop apologizing for who you are. From a young age, many of us are taught to be polite, agreeable, and careful not to make others uncomfortable. And somewhere in that conditioning, we begin to shrink ourselves. We apologize for speaking too confidently. We downplay our successes so others don't feel small. We guess our opinions to avoid confrontation. But here's the truth. Living your life as an apology doesn't serve you, and it doesn't serve the world. You are not too much. You are not too loud. You are not too ambitious, too emotional, too driven, too intense, or too bold. You are exactly who you are meant to be, and when you water yourself down to make others comfortable, you rob yourself of the chance to live fully. You weren't born to be a background character in your own life. You weren't made to tiptoe through your dreams just because someone else might not understand them. Every time you silence yourself to keep the peace, you create a war inside. Every time you hide your light so someone else can shine, you dim your own power, but it doesn't have to be this way. You can choose to show up fully without guilt or shame. You can choose to walk into every room like you belong there, because you do. Not because someone said so, but because you believe it deep in your bones. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's not about thinking you're better than anyone else. It's about knowing that you have worth without needing anyone else's permission to believe it. And that kind of confidence doesn't require you to shout. It just requires you to stop whispering. It means you hold your head high even when your voice shakes. It means you wear your truth like armor and stop apologizing for taking up space. There will always be people who think you should be quieter, softer, more agreeable. Let them think what they will. You weren't put on this earth to meet their expectations. You were put here to rise, to lead, to live your truth. And when you do that, when you stop apologizing and start owning every inch of who you are, you begin to attract people who respect you, not people who want to reshape you. So take up space. Speak your truth. Show your fire. You don't owe anyone an apology for being exactly who you are meant to be. Not now, not ever. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply remember who you are. Life has a way of making us forget. We get so caught up in expectations, in disappointments, in proving ourselves, that we begin to lose sight of our identity. We start to believe the opinions of others more than our own intuition. We let rejection define us, comparison weaken us, and fear paralyze us. But deep inside you, there is a version of yourself that has always known the truth, the version that believed anything was possible, the version that dreamed without limits, the version that wasn't afraid to show up fully, boldly, and unapologetically. That version of you is still there. It never disappeared. It just got buried under doubt, under pressure, under years of playing small to make others feel comfortable. But the moment you start to reconnect with your essence, The moment you stop chasing validation and start honoring your own voice, that's when things begin to shift. You don't need to become someone else. You need to return to yourself, to the clarity you had before the world tried to define you. When you remember who you are, you stop begging for recognition. You stop waiting for the right moment to be yourself. You no longer ask for seats at tables where you were never meant to sit. Instead, you bring your own chair, your own story, and your own fire, because you realize that your worth isn't up for debate. It's not something that can be taken away or handed to you by others. It's something that's been inside you all along. The strength you need is already within you. The courage, the confidence, the creativity, the voice, it's all there. You just have to believe it again. You have to remember the battles you've already won, the pain you've already endured, the resilience you've already proven. That's your truth. That's your foundation. And when you begin to walk in that truth, your doubt loses its grip. No one else can define your value. No one else can determine your path. Only you can do that. So let today be the moment you stop searching outside yourself for answers. Let today be the moment you remember that you are powerful, capable, and worthy, not because of what you've done, but because of who you already are. And once you truly embrace that, once you remember it every single day, you'll never doubt yourself again.